The clock is ticking. Will the nano agent stop the infection in time, or will patient X become the next to fall?
You've had a chance to work on the zombie outbreak task. Stephanie and I are going to just do a quick overview of just some of the ways that people might have approached it. This is a chance for you to see some different strategies and also the solutions. So if you haven't solved it yet, you don't want it spoiled, spoiler alert, we're going to get into the solution today. All right, so Stephanie, before we look at your solution, I wanted to start with what we saw last night during the play date. A lot of people were drawing this sort of visual, and I've seen this come up quite a few times. And to describe what's going on with the visual here is basically, this represents the first parasite, and it's 12 o'clock. That's when the infection happened. Then it says 1 o'clock, that's when it's matured and spawned. And then at 2 o'clock, we have 4 more. And then at 3 o'clock, we have the 8. And then at 4 o'clock, we have 16. So at 4 o'clock, all of these parasites are in the system right now. And that's when the nano agent's injected, right? So it's injected, but it's not mature yet. So what happened? So when does elimination happen?
At the 30-minute mark. So
Okay.
at 4:30, we eliminate 2.
All right, so I'm gonna write that on here. So we have 4:30, we eliminate 2, and
And we start at the top.
we start the most mature, right? So this one goes first, followed by this one. Okay, and then what happens?
So then those 2 nano agents become 4 nano agents that then sit around for 30 minutes maturing. And so at 5 o'clock, 4 more are eliminated.
All right, so there's going to be, hold on one second, so I'm gonna back up a second. So at this part, we have the 1 nano agent eliminates, so we have 1 nano agent eliminates these 2. This dissolves and becomes 2 nano agents. And at 5 o'clock, you're saying that this one's gonna eliminate 2,
Correct.
and this one's going to eliminate 2.
Correct.
And then these dissolve and each become 2 more.
Correct.
So anything you're noticing right now as we're,
Well, one thing I'm noticing was like the first time there was 1 left over, and now there's still 1 more left over. And also so these 4 nano agents are actually going to attack 8 of the parasites, which would be this whole row. So I think that like +1 is gonna linger.
Maybe I'll do is I'll make the cross out blue here so we can kind of see what's happening. Like, so the first time we did this, then there was 1 left over. Then the next time we lost 4, so it was this one here, plus 3 more, but there's still 1 left over. So now you're saying we're going to lose 8 now. So this is going to get 2 and 2 and 2 and 2 for 8, but it's going to start with this one here.
Correct.
And then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and still having 1 left over. And that's at 5:30.
Right.
And so this is an interesting thing if you were considering this pattern here. I mentioned in the play date, if any of you were attending live, that the visual has something interesting. That 1 extra is, for me, that was like the standout when I started to look at it. Is like, well, why is there that 1 extra? But we can pause now, because this is one way we can keep building this out. At some point, you're going to be tired of drawing, so you could start just writing down numbers. So I know, like, okay, we're going to have 32 in the next row and 64, et cetera. But we can now, just from this beginning, get some regularity that we can play with. But you did it all numerically. So talk to us through how you did it.
Yeah, so my group and I got our endurance for drawing was limited. And so we started looking at numbers, and we started talking about there was regularity with what was happening with the parasite, and there was regularity with what was happening with the nano agent. And so first, we talked about, like, if we just mapped out how many of the parasite, can we figure out that piece? And so we were very clearly able to see, like, there's 1, and then it's 2 more, so now you have a total of 3, and we were able to continue that all the way down. So essentially building that pyramid just with the numbers. So we knew at 9 o'clock there would be a total of 1,023 parasites. Then we also said, well, there's that regularity with the way that nano agent is acting. So for the first 4 hours, nothing is being eliminated.
Right.
But at 4 o'clock, there's nothing eliminated, but there's that 1 that's maturing. And so then we started following, okay, so at 2, that nano agent will eliminate 2.
So this 2 matches the orange X's here.
Correct.
Okay.
And then at 5, there's 4.
Got it.
And so we were able to follow that pattern down. So at 9, we saw that it would eliminate 1,024.
Okay.
Which that piece let us know we felt confident that the nano agent would eliminate all of the parasites because we get to a point where there's more nano agents then parasites.
Okay.
Now we had to figure out how that like adding and subtracting and all of those pieces worked. And so that's where this is where this middle table came in handy.
Okay.
And we had to do this quite a few times because the math gets really sticky, but seeing your visual, actually, I can start to see a piece of this. So we're looking at 4 o'clock, there were 31, but at 4:30, we eliminated 2. So at 4:30, there's only 29 left.
Okay.
So now instead of adding that at 5, it's not 31 plus 32, it's 29 plus 32. So there's 61, but we eliminate 4 more, so really there's 57.
All right. So we're seeing this bottom row here is still
Is
multiplied,
still being
right?
added,
It's still,
right.
So these are still producing more offspring, but behind, like I guess this is showing sort of the removal of the more mature
Right.
parasites as we have.
And because the nano agent is increasing its rate every 30 minutes versus every hour, we get to this point where now at that 7 o'clock, we're able to actually eliminate, at 7:30, we eliminate 128 of them. So there's just 1 left that's mature.
Yeah.
And so at 8 o'clock, we add 256 more. So you have 257. So we still have 1 new one.
Yep.
But then at 8:30, that's when 512 of the nano agent matures. So it eliminates that one. So it was this fact of we had to go back and forth to see, is the way this is increasing at essentially twice the rate every half hour versus every hour,
Yeah.
will we catch up?
Yeah. It got down to the wire too here, right?
Yeah, it was real close.
All right. And I'm just curious, so where in the numbers part do we see that like 1 extra? Where does that show up?
I don't think it's as clear. I think the first time that I really started to see it was that there's here, from 64 to 65, like there's that +1.
Yep.
We're seeing an extra there. And then here is where you really see that 1 extra and we're eliminating. I didn't feel like that was a pattern that I was noticing as clearly.
It doesn't show up as much with the numbers
With
as
the
with
numbers,
the visual.
right.
And so for me, I know when I kind of talk to people like, why do we always have 1 extra? And and the thing that we sort of came up with is that the elimination is following this like 248, where we see a growth of 248. But because that first one is kind of an anomaly because it's that one that's maturing. So even though we are eliminating at this same exponential pattern here, we always have to start with that first mature one, which always has us 1 shy every single time.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's this minus the one before each time that we're doing it. All right, well, this is just a quick analysis. There are lots of other ways. I know some people explored Desmos, some people built out things with cubes or virtual manipulatives. You can go in any direction. We're gonna post this online and in social media. Feel free to jump into the comments and let us know how you solved it. We'd love to hear any feedback. And we'll send out the a feedback form too. So even if you weren't part of this live and you're playing with this on your own, or if you're playing with some colleagues, feel free to give us some feedback about how we might improve the task or the experience, because we'd love to keep this going. We're having a lot of fun playing with some math. So thanks for joining us.